And I didn't print out the agenda, so it says page unresponsive. I think I'll wait.
Are you still there?
But you can see me, right?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay.
Can you see the share? Can you see the agenda?
Now I can. It just came up. All right. Okay. Rose, can you assist with the roll call?
All right. Thank you. Yes. Commissioner Kadiai?
Oh, I'm here.
And then Commissioner Co-Chair Toya is excused today. And then Co-Chair Washington?
Here.
Commissioner Marks?
Here.
Commissioner Lance?
Here.
And Commissioner White Hat is excused. And then Commissioner Yellowhair? Don't see him. And then Commissioner Zavala?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now some videos coming up. All right, do we have a volunteer to read the land acknowledgement?
Sure, I'll read.
Okay, thank you.
The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. Lands still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous people. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you. Okay, my screen just went blank. Let's see.
We have public comment next.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone here for public comment?
Chris has his hand up.
Okay, yes. Chris?
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Rohde, Management Analyst in Public Affairs, and today I'm here on behalf of the City of Flagstaff Budget Team and Priority-Based Budgeting Team. You may have gotten an email from me a few weeks ago, but I'm talking to commissions about the outreach we're doing this summer for our refresh of the city's priorities and objectives that we use for evaluating future budget requests. So we have an active survey online right now. It's open through this Friday. And we would encourage anybody that would like to provide feedback to do so through our survey. It allows us to make sure that the way we're evaluating all the things that the city can spend funds on in the future is best in line with, excuse me, with the actual needs and goals of the people that our community serves. So if you had the time, I'd encourage you to please take that survey or to pass it along to anybody who you feel or who would also like to give their feedback. We'd love to hear it from as many people as we can. And Rose, is it okay if I put a link to that in the chat, or should I not do that? Okay, thank you so much. That's all I have. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm looking at a blank screen. So next item.
Is there any others for public comment?
Any others for public comment?
And then our next item will be into general business, which is the Flagstaff Regional Plan update.
Okay, and who is presenting that?
And that will be the regional plan team with Sarah Decter.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking some time today to get caught up on what we're doing with the regional plan update for both the city and the county. I'm going to do a 15-minute presentation. It's kind of the fast one. If this topic is very intriguing to you or you'd like to know more, we actually have a couple hours worth of videos and interesting information that I can provide you with, but we definitely have some time if you have questions that you'd like to ask. Since this is a short presentation, if it's okay with the chair, you should feel free to interrupt me and stop if you'd like to ask questions. Is that all right, Chair Washington?
Yes, that's fine.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. If it's nice and lets me. How's that? Can everyone see? Excellent. All right, so last year, you may recall, and probably for this commission, it's been more than a year, the regional plan team came around and we discussed strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of our current regional plan with all the boards and commissions. We went to IPAC, we were here with the Indigenous Commission, BPAC, you name it. There were 23 commissions we visited with, and we've done a lot of work with the public since then that we want to share back and also get everyone here ready for some really important engagement that's going to be happening this fall. So when you see the announcement of workshops, you know what they are, you know how to get people to them, and you can help us really drive some important community decision-making and conversation. So if you recall, and this may look like a familiar chart or it might not, the regional plan is a big thing. It's a several hundred-page policy document. It's the only thing besides the city charter that we adopt by ballot. And so it is really unique and interesting, and it does a lot of really important things for the city. So it has a pretty complicated process for putting it together and bringing it out to the community for adoption. So we have multiple phases. We kind of broke it into phases so people could understand this very long, complicated process more easily. So phase 1 was last year when we were here talking about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We were getting curious, we were gaining understanding, we were doing a lot of community events where we were just asking people what they thought and trying to have conversations that really helped inform how the team could approach very difficult conversations with the community. And this fall, we started phase 2, or fall 2022, we started the second phase, which was diving into all of this stuff. What are our visions? What's our goal? How do we make trade-offs together? How are we going to discuss our values and set ourselves up for a successful next 20 years in Flagstaff's history? And now we are in the final stages of phase 2, and we'll talk about what we've done and what's coming with that. And then right around the corner, starting this coming fall as well, we have an advisory committee that is going to come together and actually start to help us write the plan. Like up until this point, phase 1 and 2, I have little snippets of things we've written and things we've thought about, but we haven't really pulled this whole document together and gotten it reviewed. And so that is coming though. And so we will probably be back with all these commissions again at some part of phase 2 to talk about different chapters of the plan and what we're doing. So this is the roadmap just to make sure you know where we are. So last fall, as I said, we did some visioning workshops in the community. We advertised these by postcards. We sent a postcard to everyone who lives in the region. So you might have seen that in your mailbox. We had 11 workshops at 11 different locations, and we tried to have them like morning, lunch, afternoon, evening, really think about where they were. So all of these meetings ended up being pretty intimate and small. So, the most we had was about 25 people, and the fewest we had was about 5 people who were having these conversations. And there were 4 main activities at it. People got a chance to write their own vision statement, to mark assets that the community has and that are important to plan for on the map, and to look at questions. What are the key questions we really need to answer as we're writing a regional plan? We also had a survey that gave us some similar feedback. So about 150 people participated in this first round of engagement. And we heard some key things in that first round of that natural open spaces and character and preservation of our history were very high values for many of the participants. We also heard that we should have a broad range of needs met and just have a diversity, equity, and inclusion focus, not just in how we run the process, but actually what we end up with in the plan. And I will say this first round of workshops was the least diverse of anything we have done so far. It was really the people who saw a postcard in their mailbox and showed up, which is a pretty typical crowd that we see in a lot of different meetings. And so that gave us something to learn from. People had a lot of suggestions on what we should be doing and how we should change our outreach. We also didn't have our consultant on board at this point, and they've brought a lot of opportunities to be more inclusive and as part of what they've been able to bring to the table. We also spent a lot of time talking about biking, walking, and transit and the importance of multimodal transportation, not only in the city limits, but we heard about it in Belmont, and we heard about it in Doney Park, and we heard about it in Kachina and Mountain Air. So many outlying communities thinking about how their connections and opportunities to choose a transportation method besides a car could be improved in the next 20 years. And then affordable housing, we had just wrapped up, I think, the 10-year housing plan for the city. And that was very much on people's minds of making sure that we were planning for people and not just for place. So from there, we brought in our consultant, Cascadia Partners, who is helping us do what's called a scenario planning process. I didn't get to add the thing that I thought about to this, but scenario planning is a process by which we really try and understand the future differently. And it does include a computer model. So I like to put this in front of people because some people are very interested in the technology that we're using to make to frame up decisions for the community. And this is called Urban Footprint. So if you'd like to go to the Urban Footprint website and dig around into what's going on in the model and what they make available, that's very much the case. Staff is not running this model. Our consultant is doing it. It's a fairly expensive model, but it gives us a lot of opportunity to customize things that we couldn't in the previous software that we use, that we think will help make the outcomes of kind of putting things into the computer and asking questions more meaningful for the community as a whole. So that's part of why we're using this software. And I'll explain a little more about how that ties into scenario planning. So scenario planning is really about testing future ideas of what the future could be like. And we've started that by actually creating what we call a business as usual scenario. And the business as usual scenario is, what if we just keep doing what we are doing? And with that, we're testing an assumption that what has been successful for the last 20 years will continue to be successful. And we'll talk a little about that. And that's kind of our base scenario where we're trying to understand, what if we keep on the track we're on? The alternative scenarios, and we just had a meeting yesterday with our technical advisory group on scenario themes, are going to help us chart a course of, well, what if we actually like turned the wheel, pulled the lever, tried to think about a different approach to the problems we might face in the next 20 years. So it's our adaptability question. And with what input we got the other day and some staff work we're going to do this month, that's what's essentially going to go into the model and have us start testing some ideas. This fall, we will have a point where we call scenario choosing, and that's what we really want to drive the public to come be a part of, because that'll be our absolute great opportunity for learning. Scenarios are not plans. They are something we test and try and learn from, and then we can take the parts we think are most important and leave aside parts that we think we aren't going to address or aren't going to be able to address. But they give us a chance to test some ideas. And these ideas very much came from the community, and I'll talk about how we did that. So first, we have a technical advisory group that's made up of about 20 participants. These are folks we did stakeholder interviews and asked, who are the people who are leading experts in this, or the people who you go to get your questions answered? And then we invited them to be a part of this group. And they've had 5 meetings, they've won more, and they've been basically providing advice to staff and the consulting team on taking the things we're hearing from the public and the things we're learning through this process and making sure we're managing that right. We're understanding things well and questioning us if we are not quite getting it. So it's a good sounding board for staff, and it's not people who are making every little decision along the way, but they can keep us checked that we are definitely doing the work in a way that's robust and transparent and asking tough questions of ourselves and the community so that we can learn and be resilient. So these things they've been reviewing were not just created by staff in a room or in a computer. We actually did, and I know Commissioner Marks is recognizing some of his students in some of these photos, I'm sure. We actually did workshops where we turned the idea of testing our future and our needs as a community against scenarios that maybe were not what I would call a blue sky scenario. So blue sky scenario is where you assume everything's great and all the market conditions and the politics and the, money is in our favor. And then you go and you say, here's our dream. And that's great, but it's not actually how most of the time it works out. So we created these games with 3 kinds of factors you had to take into account. One, you could be in a factor where you have a low growth, a high growth, or a medium growth scenario in terms of jobs and people who want to move to Flagstaff. 2, you could have a world where climate impacts are very high or very low in Flagstaff. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip of my water. And then 3rd, you could have a scenario where there was abundant funding for every infrastructure project we could dream of, or very limited funding. And we asked the groups of people who met at tables to not just plan for where do you want to see growth, but say, if you were in this world, how would that change the decisions you'd make about where you want to see growth? So it's a slightly different question than the way we started this process a few years ago. And we got pretty close to 300 participants, over 285 in this. And we had 10 community-based organizations who are also represented in this process. And that was, our consultant has offered an honorarium to groups, to some nonprofit groups that have relationships with communities that weren't the kind of people who showed up at the visioning workshops, who didn't see a postcard and think, I would love to spend my Thursday night at a public workshop with Sarah, which I hope there's more people in the world always who think that's great. I love that. But there's those people with other priorities, and I can accept that. But we did 13 workshops. So we did 5 that were just open for anybody, but we also did specialized workshops for different groups. We met in a transitional housing setting. We met with a Spanish speaking audience where we had about 10 participants who really spoke Spanish and had very limited English. And we bought our translator to translate from Spanish to English for us. We met with the Flagstaff High School Native American Club and the Hispanic Heritage Club. In fact, we had them to City Hall for a field trip, and they not only did the exercise, but they met our HR director, and the vice mayor came and spoke to them. And so we made these experiences not just an ordinary workshop, but a place where people could really feel like they were in the decision making and were getting a chance to weigh in and discuss things with their neighbors. So that was a really exciting round of feedback. So then, of course, we're planners, so we turn all that into data. So we create maps and we create notes, and we tried to learn what insights it was putting people in this gamified environment going to give us about people's ideas and understanding of our communities, opportunities, and maybe challenges up ahead. So some of the big themes we heard that we kind of wanted to reflect back on that round, though, is generally people in Flagstaff support mixed use development. There's not a lot of folks who want housing over here and commercial over there. People tended to take chips for commercial uses and services and say, I want that closer to my house. So people have a desire for shorter trips and more amenities and services that are spread out across the community. They also have some lukewarm, supportive, or unsupportive positions on density. And so managing density with sensitivity is clearly a piece we heard. We also heard that there's a lot of support for transit. This opportunity really only gave people choices between transit and roads in terms of how they might spend budget on the game. but people kind of split it 50-50, and it was interesting to see who. And then again, like natural resources in the first round, people were very strongly supportive of land protection and thinking through this whole process with natural resources at top of mind. So from that workshop, we got a handful of growth ideas, which the technical advisory group has reviewed. And if you're interested in knowing more about them, you can look at tag number 4 on our website. There's a nice little video that'll get you caught up on what they considered. We then took those out with an online survey that was kind of supportive of this, and a webinar and an open house. And we did a little more talking with the community to see if we were capturing everything well, and learned a little more. And now that we've pushed those into 3 scenario themes that we will probably be putting out a little briefing paper on shortly, and we're going to start running the model for. And as I said, one of the key things we did differently this time was we put together a business as usual, not just to say like, here's Flagstaff today and here's all the things Flagstaff as a region could be tomorrow, but to really understand how our choices and the trends that we support with our current policies and priorities and levels of investment and the way we're doing the work we do as a city and county could be played out in the future if we didn't basically play the game any differently. So we've had a lot of engagement this summer. Our technical advisory group meeting number 5 was actually yesterday. And this fall, we'll be back out to talk about scenario choosing. And scenario choosing is a step where that business as usual, plus those 3 additional scenarios, which I'm not even familiar enough yet to name them off the top of my head, will go back out to the public for a choice making. I put up in the meeting the other day a little clip from the Barbie movie of, do you want the comfortable sandal or the stiletto? And it's not that simple, but it is, what are our choices going ahead, and how as a community can we have those discussions? Another key thing that may be of interest to this group, and Rose and I have started talking about it a little more, is the idea of how do Indigenous perspectives and cultures and urban design become part of this conversation more robustly. There's definitely an appetite in several audiences for that we were a part of to have that be a more centralized part of what we're doing. And we've had those conversations about what does it mean for Flagstaff to serve the larger region, and that the nations in this broader region are able to be supported by what Flagstaff as an economic center can provide. So those things are ongoing in terms of what we're working on with scenario planning. But when we wrap scenario planning and we have a preferred alternative, there will still be a few steps to do to actually turn all of this work and conversation into a document that can go on a ballot, which is the assignment here, is to finish that. So once we get there, the manager is appointing a committee. Every council and board member provided nominations to the city clerk or staff. We've created a staff report that we've sent to the city and county manager, and they are reviewing those and plan to invite approximately 20 members of the committee. We received 34 nominations from elected officials. 29 of those individuals said they are interested. So we did contact everybody and say, do you actually want to do this? And is the commitment one you can make? And then right now that's in the city and county manager's hand, and they're hoping that by the end of August, they will have made some finalization of who will be on that committee. And that committee is not like the technical advisory group. They're actually going to help us with writing. So they're going to be not necessarily a formal commission like you are as a group, but they will need to set up some rules. Staff's going to make sure everything has written procedures and the meetings are advertised and posted and available to the public, and people know how to comment at the meetings. Those are all really important. But the way this is set up, we don't take the boards and commissions manuals and just put it on the process. But there's also opportunities there for this committee to help lead roundtables, or have focus groups, or run a workshop instead of just sitting and having a Zoom meeting or doing something along that's more traditional for a committee or commission. So how they want to work with us is going to be a key part of their first job as a committee. So they'll need to determine their rules and procedures and help us set a schedule and go over what we've learned from scenario planning. We're then going to ask them to kind of help figure out what we're scaffolding everything to. What does the framework of the plan actually look like? And always at the center of the plan, because it has kind of a land use heart, and a land heart is that the future growth illustration and plan amendment categories and the way we describe what people do on the landscape is kind of fleshed out before we dive into everything else. So then we dive into all those other chapters and requirements, and there's a nice big state statute that tells me what my checklist looks like. If anybody's interested, I'm happy to share it. And then, you know, that's how we kind of pull the whole thing together. Then they will actually do chapter by chapter reviews, and they might be reviewing a couple chapters at a time, but they will be taking a chapter about natural resources, or a chapter about open space and parks, or a chapter about trails and transportation and transit, and taking those through for a review along with some concurrent legal reviews. And that's where I kind of imagine that commissions and committees we may be revisiting you during that period and bringing you drafts and asking questions on behalf of the committee. So let me stop sharing my screen. And that is the basic rundown of where we've been and where we're going and what the process has looked like so far. And then I'm happy for any questions or feedback or ideas that you want to share that I haven't mentioned or thought of. All of the above are much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, if not, then thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, what is the next agenda item, Rose?
Our next agenda item is Indigenous Representation Project with Jana Weldon and team.
Okay, very good.
Hi, everyone. Greetings, Chair and Commissioners, and Rose Tohi, our beloved Coordinator of Indigenous Initiatives. I came before this commission about a little over a year ago, and I'm Jana Weldon. I'm the Beautification Arts and Sciences Program Manager, and we discussed an Indigenous representation project idea that we had been working with Rose for over a year at that point on, and we wanted to gather a working group though to have input before we even put out a call to artists. And we asked for commissioners from a couple of several different city and county commissions to participate, because Rose also thought it would be a good idea because we were landing at what was then the Sawmill Multicultural Park, but is now the Liz Arzacleta Park over, near Sawmill and Lone Tree, that we would open it up to other underrepresented cultural representation art as well. And so with that, we made it a working group. It had 2 commissioners from beautification and public art. It had, we invited 2 commissioners from this commission. It was Commissioner Toya and Commissioner Marks. And then the Community on Diversity Awareness with the city. And then with the county, we had members from Parks and Rec, the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Council, Coconino Hispanic Advisory Council, and we also invited members from the African Diaspora Advisory Council. And we had a absolutely wonderful on-site brainstorming meeting last August. Was just a really wonderful night of connecting over memories of food, and Rose led a discussion on the directions, and we walked the site together And I remember Commissioner Toya, telling us how important it was that this site was next to NASET, and, that there was a real healing element for people who use the park, in addition to the people who just walk their dogs from the condominiums. And so, so all that kind of came together, but then I didn't have, at that point, I was alone as staff, and we didn't have staff to carry out the project right away. But we do now. And I'm very happy to introduce to you Kristen Crujito, who is our arts collection and beautification coordinator. We don't believe in short titles in our program. And she has taken, everything that I brought her and all the notes and all the discussions that I could infuse to her. And we worked with Rose, and we now have a call to artists. And I'm going to let Kristen take it from here, and she'll tell you a little bit more about the project and in all of its aspects.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you all for allowing me to share some of the updates with all of you. And I see a few familiar faces that I've only ever emailed with. So it's nice to see you, and hopefully I can meet you one day in person as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just go over the PowerPoint presentation. And I know that all of you received a copy of this last week, but I will go through it with you. I know that you have some new members. And then I will take questions at the end of my presentation, and anything that I'm unable to answer, of course, Jana is here, as is Rose, who both of you have been super helpful in helping me navigate this particular public art opportunity. So, as Jana mentioned, we do have some updates. Quite a lot has happened since last year. We've determined a date for this temporary 3D art exhibition, which will be May through October of next year. And we are currently in the process of presenting to all of the City of Flagstaff and Coconino County councils and commissions. We have another presentation this evening and tomorrow. And so we're going through all of that. We are also in the process of finalizing a license agreement with Coconino County. And most exciting is that we finally have a call to artists for this particular project. So again, just some background about the project site. Again, this exhibition will be installed at the Elizabeth Liz C. Archuleta County Park. And this site is one of Flagstaff's first sawmills. There's a deep history here. The site attracted Indigenous, Mexican, African American, Swedish, and Polish families to work at the mills. As Jana stated earlier, it's frequented by individuals and families of the nearby Coconino County Juvenile Court and Coconino County Detention Facility, who speak often of the healing qualities of being enveloped in nature. Neighboring residents include the racially diverse and historic Southside community, young professionals, and of course, NAU students. And park visitors also enjoy recreational environmental opportunities programmed by the Willow Bend Environmental Education Center, which is also on site. So the project vision, this temporary exhibition will feature 5 3D artworks, existing or newly created, that reflect and make visible aspects of Indigenous representation and other diverse cultural representation, including Black and Latinx art. And so the artworks that will be selected by the panel will advance perspectives and narratives, and this can take a variety of forms. So some artists may focus specifically on cultural traditions, maybe highlighting some iconography or important symbolism. Perhaps they may do this through storytelling, while others may others' artwork may speak to the very strong connection to nature, land, or community. And we are hoping that this annual exhibition will solidify the park as an outdoor sculpture venue in northern Arizona, and it will be known for its public art. Important dates. So our call opened August 1st, and I am excited to say we already have one proposal from a Chicano and Indigenous artist out of Los Angeles. So that is exciting, and I'm hoping that we have dozens of more, as Rose and I discussed this morning, by the time this opportunity closes, which is September 12th. We'll be having a pre-application meeting on August 30th, where artists can ask us any questions to receive clarification before submitting their application. September 29th is the date we have selected for the selection panel review and the scoring of proposals. And then, of course, artists will be notified in October, and from late October through March, if they are going to create something, they will have that time to do so. We have an installation date in April, or the month of April, to be determined. And then, of course, the exhibition opening and public reception will be May 4th. And deinstallation of artwork is October 7th through the 11th. Who is eligible? So we are looking for not only established artists, but also emerging as well. So anyone 18 years or older is eligible to apply, and artists in traditionally and historically underrepresented groups are encouraged to apply as well. Art galleries and other lending art institutions are eligible to loan existing work. And since last winter, I've been contacting quite a few galleries and museums in the Southwest to see if they are interested in loaning something. Artists may submit up to 2 proposals. And while this is an opportunity, a national opportunity, we're really focusing on local and regional artists. So with that said, we have an outreach list of more than 500 artists, organizations, sculpture programs in colleges and universities, galleries, etc. And we have already sent out an email to 375 of our subscribers. The call is being posted now, not only on Arizona Commission on the Arts, but also Creative Flagstaff, public art programs in Santa Fe and Albuquerque. Albuquerque sent it out to New Mexico artists actually just about 30 minutes ago. And we also will be doing a lot of grassroots marketing. So this Friday, I'll be headed up to the Tuba City Flea Market, hopefully to recruit some artists. Saturday, I'll be in Gallup, and next Wednesday, I'll be in Kayenta. And we are also sending out a press release, not only to local and regional outlets, but also targeting the Navajo Hopi Observer, Navajo Times, Native News Online, etc. And back to the emerging artists, I have created an extensive list of sculpture programs that are in the Southwest. And that includes not only Diné College, but also IAIA in Santa Fe and some other institutions as well. So I'm really hoping, I know the deadline is close to the beginning of the fall semester, but I'm hopeful that emerging sculptors take this opportunity, if not for this year, definitely for next year, and keep us on their radar as well. So let me just close out this window. And finally, I'd just like to say in person that we also need all of your assistance as well. We know that all of you know of individuals that might be interested in this opportunity, and I can absolutely get you not only digital copies, but also hard copies of the Call to Artists flyer that we did, and send you an email with a link to the website and a little summary as well. So that's all taken care of for you. And I'm always happy to answer any questions by any potential applicants. And do you have any questions for me?
Hi, this is Commissioner Lance. Just wanted to just mention that what you're saying about the application for people that want to submit some artwork, you're going to send that to Rose, and then Rose will send that to us. Is that how it's going to work?
Yes.
Okay.
And it will have, yes, everything, including a hard copy of the Call to Artists as well, and the flyer. And I know many of our artists, this was something else I wanted to bring up. When I am in Tuba or Gallup or Kayenta over the next week, I will be bringing hard copies of the Call to Artists as well. I know many artists don't have access to internet or high-speed internet, so we want to make it as accessible as possible for them to apply.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you say you had some kind of a digital copy that might be shared on Facebook or something like that? So, yeah.
Absolutely. A PDF as well as a JPEG.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Kristen.
Thank you.
What is our next agenda item? Is that informational items?
No, it's the Indigenous Co-Talkers Day event.
Oh, okay, very good.
So,
all right, very good.
all right,
Rose,
hold on a second. I lost the okay. I lost all of you for a little bit. I didn't realize. Anyway, so this is the next agenda item is for the Indigenous Co-Talkers Day event. We have pretty much everything wrapped up. We just have a few more things to solidify. So this is going to be our agenda, and you all received the flyer that goes before the detail agenda. So what we have so far lined up, we're going to have it this time at the Aquaplex, and we're starting at 9:30 instead of 10, and then extending a little bit more by an hour. After last year was 12:30, and then this year's going to be 1:30 ending time. So that's going to be, kind of plenty of time if in case, we tend to run over some of the presentations that are going to be done. I haven't, right as of this moment, we're going to have the NACA Health Promotions Program will be doing a hybrid 2K starting at 8:30, and I'll take this off with Buffalo Park, but it's going to be near the Aquaplex as the start area for the in-person one. And then the honor riders I haven't heard from, and usually last year what they did was they did the laying of the wreaths at the Co-Talkers resting place out there at Belmont, and I haven't heard from them yet, so that might come off. Our MC this year is going to be Dorothy Danetzosi. She is the interim CEO for Native Americans for Community Action. We have everything from posting of colors to the national hymn and Marine Corps hymn, or the national anthem, I'm sorry, who's going to be provided by one of the daughters for the Navajo Code Talker. The opening prayer, I'm looking for one. So if there's anybody from the commission that wants to volunteer, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll find somebody by the end of the day. And then, of course, our Commissioner Zavala is going to do our land acknowledgement, and then Mayor's going to do the proclamation for the welcome. The order of this might change a little bit, but we're going to have a memorial song for our veterans who have passed, and then as well as the code talkers who have passed. And then we'll do some acknowledgements of the people attending. We're going to also have a couple of youth advocate presentations. And then the Hopi Youth Dance Group will also provide a cultural share. And then our keynote is going to be James Pashlagai, the former Arizona senator. She's also a veteran, an Army veteran. And then there might be another guest speaker. We're hopeful for a Hopi, maybe a Hopi descendant from one of their Hopi co-talkers. We'll get that solidified today. And then we're also going to have some gifts. This year we ordered some t-shirts that are going to be given out. And then we're also going to have another honor song for our veterans who are still with us. And then we'll have our closing prayer. So this is just really what we're going to have. We're also going to serve light lunch after the event. And we have Commissioner Zavala who's taking care of people who are going to table. We have 10 tables that are going to be in the lobby. And I think most of those are already taken, so she's taking care of that. She's also going after some donations. Also wanted to let her know that Randall Small Canyon, the family of Navajo Code Talker George P. Woolley Sr., his family is going to take care of the water and the chips to go with the food. And then my office is going to order the food, and we'll have that available. And then, so don't worry about the water and the anyway, those two items, don't worry about those.
Do you still want me to get teas?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Does anybody have any questions on the list or anything like that? Councilmember Matthews?
Thank you, Rose. So are people, do they need to RSVP?
No, not to attend. They can just come. It's open to the public. So last year we had around 90 people or so. So we're expecting maybe about the same.
I just didn't know because you were serving food if you needed to manage that. So good to know.
Yeah, we're well, we'll serve food for as long as we have it, and then we'll be able to just. I think last year we had a little bit left over, so it was nice.
Good.
Any other questions?
Rose, do you want me to wait until you find out about if you have a special guest speaker, the Hopi veteran you mentioned, before I reach out to Alfred that we discussed yesterday?
Oh, I think that's the one we're waiting on, Alfred, because he's Hopi.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, great. I chatted with him this morning and they're going to have an answer for me in the next couple days.
Okay. Can I just put his name on here? Do you know if, because this is going to go out tomorrow. This is going to go out tomorrow morning. And can you send me his name? I mean, how it's spelled, his spelling?
Let me get it right now.
And then what his title would be, because most of these I have titles for.
Got it.
Thank you. All right.
No problem.
Good.
And then I'll just call him directly today and have confirmation to you by the end of the business day.
That sounds awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because they sounded super interested. And his
That would be great.
title, absolutely.
Are you able to stay on after our meeting, Mariah?
Yes, yes, I can.
All right. We'll chat a little bit about some of these details. Okay.
Thank you, Rose.
Sure. And then the next item, if everything is done with that, the next item is the update on the Native American Heritage Month flag, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Lance.
Yeah, so I did send you the couple concepts that my guy had made for us here. Wasn't able to do any more than that, but I don't know if you're able to share that, Rose, but I know I've seen it in the email. But that's what he came up with. So I know you had mentioned something about wanting to do like Native American tribes in maybe in the flag, maybe the Northern Arizona tribes. But then there was something mentioned about maybe some kind of copyright stuff that could we even put it in the flag, you know, to have tribal logos in there.
Yes. So the main thing is, can you see what I have up here? Guys, sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I have from Commissioner Lance's design person, graphic design person. And so this is one of them. And then the other one is this one. So what I kind of thought, instead of doing the logos, was to see if we can, is this one, see if we can make the lettering like one color, like so that it can show up on the flag, and maybe a little different, what do you call it, lettering, but make it smaller. And then maybe we can do like right here the name of the tribes, like let's say Hopi tribe, or just say Hopi, and then put like maybe down here Navajo, and just put the names of the 13 or 14 Indigenous nations who consider the peaks sacred. I don't know, is that possible?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lance?
I was just talking with him earlier on today. I mean, he's got time to be able to do that probably this week to put that in there. Could I get sent? I mean, I don't know what all tribes. I mean, I know of a handful up here. You know, probably the Navajo and Hopi, maybe Yavapai Apache. I don't know all the tribes that would consider.
Yeah.
The peak sacred. Maybe.
That'll be awesome. I had sent you one. I can resend that list again.
Okay.
So, so that would be awesome. And if I don't know, would it be easier for me to talk to your designer?
Yeah, probably. I can get that info for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, he's designed all of our stuff, so he can be pretty quick. He's been a little bit busy here the last couple of weeks, but once he sent this out, you know, he was just kind of waiting for some input.
Okay.
So this extra input that you have, you know, he can make the modifications here pretty quick and get them back out to you.
That sounds really awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any suggestions? Do you want to work with me on this? I'm open for comments or open for discussion a little bit on this. Hello? Hey, Daryl, go ahead.
Yes.
I'm willing to assist if there's opportunity for that.
Ditto.
Okay. All right. That'll be awesome. All right. That sounds really good. So if we can do this, like this week, because I need to get, what needs to happen is that we need to decide, if everybody is okay, we just need your direction, that consensus that this is what we want to do, and that you'll be able to just accept us working on this, and then send you a final copy. We don't have to vote on it, but we can just at least have consensus that this is the direction we want to go. And then we can get it to whoever needs to approve it with leadership, and then get it to printing. So that's going to take some time too in getting it routed to the people who need to see it. And on top of that, it might have to end up in front of city council again for approval. So that one I don't have control over. It would have to come from either a city manager or city clerk who's taking care of the flags.
Okay, well, I am texting this individual right now, so after we get out of this meeting, I'll email you his information. I'll give him a heads up that you want to have a little meeting with him.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Cuddy-Eye, what do you think of our proposal? Commissioner Cuddy-Eye?
Yes.
Did you hear my, what do you think of our proposal on just having Commissioner Marks and Commissioners Zavala having us three work on it? And then
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think what you're suggesting, the lettering, because you can't really see it. I think the lettering could be one color would be nice. I love the design.
I really like the design. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can just put the names of the tribes like around here or something like that if we, however that we can manage it with the designer. And then Co-Chair Washington, what do you think?
Yes, I think that's fine, doing it that way.
Okay. And then what I'll do is once it's completed, I'll send it out to the rest of the group again so that everybody is aware ahead of time what it's going to look like. Okay. All right. All right. That sounds awesome. Okay. So Commissioner Zavala and Commissioner Marks, go ahead and stay on afterwards so then we can decide on when to meet on this. Okay. And then, let's see here. Check. And then after this is just the informational items to and from commissioner members, staff, and future agenda item requests.
Okay, do we have anyone that wants to state any informational items or agenda requests? If not, then
Someone's hands up. Commissioner Marks' hands up.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Marks.
No, sorry, that was for the previous.
Okay. Your arm's probably tired like Commissioner Yellow Hair. Okay. And then I guess that's it.
Okay, very good. I will adjourn the meeting at this time. Thank you everyone for coming up.
Time is 1:10. All right. Thank you, everybody. And I'm going to stop recording.